Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's pretty nice. It was pretty nice. For the people celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, you have the day off. That's fantastic. It's most likely the bankers. It's kind of interesting, right? That on a day like today, the the people who most likely don't need a vacation day are having the day off. It's like, oh, nice. The banks and Wall Street are closed. Oh, yeah, they definitely needed a day off. I'm pretty sure it's nobody that has anything to do with, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But the reality is it's just a gaslighting holiday. It's like a humiliation ritual, like most of these days. And I'll give another example. Another one that I find is a gaslighting ritual is Veterans Day, right? I worked with many veterans, none of which had the day off on Veterans Day. But you know who did have the day off on Veterans Day? The bankers, Wall Street. It's a humiliation ritual, those people, why do they have the day off? I mean, unless they're veterans, right? Like, I mean, to me, on Veterans Day, who else should have the day off? I'm not a veteran. I shouldn't have the day off. I should go to work. That's it. But if you're a veteran, you have the day off. Anyways, I know that some companies do give it off. Usually it's like a floating holiday or something like that. But I just thought that, seeing as it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and it's just funny that it's the banks and the institutions that are closed on this day, which have nothing to do with that. It just made me think of course, Veterans Day, and got me thinking of the whole gaslighting ceremony that we do, and then these humiliation rituals, right? Anyways, good stuff. Guys, we're going to be diving into a whole lot of really fun stories. That's right. Bitcoin's mathematical cage is about to break. While you were possibly crying yesterday that Bitcoin started to do a BART on Sunday, I was figuring out how the mathematical cage is about to break, and we're going to take a look at that. Steak and Shake, right? A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. We're going to take a look at Steak and Shake, the flight to self-custody. We've got an update on the market structure bill. We've got some good adoption stuff, right? U.S. states pushing Bitcoin crypto bills, mortgage lenders. Under the cool stuff, also, we've got a Texas facility, right? New Texas facility doing some mining. We're going to take a look at that. The Dread Pirate Robbie. I don't know if you guys remember, but we had Robbie on the show probably a couple of years ago. He's like a Bitcoin rapper kind of, and he made this awesome album. It's like one of those albums, a full album that tells a whole story, and deeply honored. Pleb Underground was featured in it. So we're going to take a look at that. And of course, we've got an update on Samourai and the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. But as you know, before we dive into all this stuff, we're going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emporium. And we're back with all the fun. Let's freaking do it. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. Yeah, see? We were talking about the Veterans Day stuff, and it just, to me, it's all the same type of thing, right? I've had one Veterans Day off in 30 years. Like, we thank you for your service, and you don't get the day off. But the bankers, right? Or even better, the people who actually specifically chose to send you off to war, they get the day off. They had the hard work. Oh, that was tough. That was tough. Anyways, all right, I will stop. I will get off of this, and we will just dive into the fun. All right, let's kick it off right away. Now, look, this time it's different when we are getting Bitcoin coder Hopium. That's right. Reardon is making predictions like this. This is how I know that we're all struggling, right? It's just a whole bunch of cope that's happening. We're just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Bitcoin makes an all-time high priced in terms of gold within 12 months. All right. I mean, I appreciate the Hopium. I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. All right. To the point of Reardon, kind of hoping for that. We've got James Van Straten. So we were getting extremely technical before, right? All these technical reasons why Bitcoin's going to move up, the gamma squeeze, the coiling, the compression algorithms, all that shit. At this point, Bitcoin just has to go higher. That's it. We've just given up. That's it. It's just got to go up. We're done. Oh, hey, Phil. What is happening? What is happening? Yeah, Bitcoin's just got to go higher, right? Why not? I'll take it. Guys, I'll take it. It's kind of funny because yesterday I saw some people gloating, right? Because obviously there's a bunch of Bitcoiners that sold that desperately need Bitcoin to go down so they could buy more so that they can be right about selling at the top, right? And it's just funny because what I'm seeing is that I'm seeing these, like some of these people grasp, right? And be like, well, an astrologist said that Bitcoin was going to go down last night. And it did. It's like, yeah, it's barding right now. Right? It's like we're sitting here. What are we? Block heights 932,968, and the Bitcoin price is 93.3. You're gonna have to hope a whole lot harder, bros. Okay, it's just funny. Like it's funny to see the I guess you call them bears. The bears talk about like the people, I guess you'd say influencers that are hoping. Right? Hoping for better outcomes. But it's funny because I'm watching these guys every single day do mental gymnastics, trying to figure out, like, this has to go down. My bags. You probably shouldn't have sold as much as you did, and you could just cry harder and cope. Anyways, moving on. Look, guys, you know that I also am coping and wondering because I'm pulling in the Jesse Myers Croceus Hopium. Like, come on. When the hell do I pull in the Jesse Hopium? Almost never. But I need it. I need this. Total value of Bitcoin and silver was equal in November 2024. So what? Here's how silver, gold, and Bitcoin have performed. Hey, free RS guides. Hello. Here's how silver, gold, and Bitcoin have performed since that time. If Bitcoin catches up to gold, we're looking at 165K BTC. Let's change that if to when, right? Let's get rid of these ifs. Gone if. When Bitcoin catches up to silver, 284K. So I say we catch up to silver. That's just my opinion, sticking with it. All right. And there you go. Look at that beautiful chart. Boom, percentages up. Fantastic. It's looking great. I'll take any one of these except for this little crappy line over here at the plus 6%. I'll take the 80% and the plus 205. Obviously, I'll take the 205 more. Okay, here we go, guys. This is how we break Bitcoin's mathematical cage. This guy produces some of the most elegant hopium that I have ever read, and I truly appreciate it. I'm not making fun of this stuff, right? Like, I use it for entertainment, but you got to understand, for me also, like, this is how I also keep myself going, right? So let's continue. The 100K Mirage. How safe money is accidentally loading the Bitcoin spring. Everyone is watching ETF inflows. I mean, I'm seeing them, but I don't really care because it's paper Bitcoin. I just want people to take self-custody. I'd be much more interested to find out how many authorized participants are taking self-custody. That, to me, is a little bit more important, but I know it's not as fun, and you don't get checks from those people. You get checks from the massive companies. Anyways, they're counting the guests entering through the front door and asking why the room still feels empty. He's so good at painting these pictures. They're missing the back door. Here we go, guys. The mathematical cage. Bitcoin isn't stalled at 95 to 100K. No, that's right. We're sitting at 93 because demand is weak. It's stalled because the market has engineered a mathematical cage. Here we go. This is how the cage breaks. The wall doesn't vanish. It gets rebuilt higher. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that, right? 17 years, Bitcoin is just, number go up technology, and it's just up and to the right. Anyways, price isn't breaking resistance. The resistance is being relocated. So follow along. Mathematical cage. Relocation of resistance. The floor keeps moving up. The verdict, the boredom is artificial. Not going to lie. I'm not really bored, but I know that some people are, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with boredom. The trap, 1.2 billion of dealer gamma is suppressed volatility. All right, there's the gamma stuff. Now give me the compression. Where's the compression and the unwind? The trigger, January expiries force an unwind. Okay, so this is a pushback from the December 26th coiling spring that we were supposed to have. And then we had the January 1st coiling spring that was also supposed to happen if the December 26th one didn't happen, which obviously did not happen. And so we kicked the can down the road to January. I think it was it January 15th or January 20th? Either way, it was last week or tomorrow. See what happens. Okay. The signal. Don't watch the price. Watch the open interest. If the call wall rolls to 110K, the market hasn't failed. The ceiling has simply been raised to accommodate the explosion. I can't disagree with this, right? I mean, if we were to actually start to sit at prices like 110K right now, first of all, the people that sold would start to really second guess what they did. And I think that would start to create the rumblings of some excitement, not exuberance, excitement. When the market is mathematically set up to go sideways, the only winning move is to wait for the ceiling to break. That's right, guys. That's how the mathematical cage gets broken. Okay. All right, some more Hopium here. More Hopium stuff. That's right. The flight to self-custody. Iranians withdraw Bitcoin to personal wallets as currency crashes. That's right. Iranians are taking possession of Bitcoin at a markedly higher rate during protests than they were beforehand. At this point, Iran is like completely blacked out from the internet. So I don't even really, obviously I don't really know what's happening. However, when I did do some digging, there were sources behind this that indicated that this is what people are seeing based on the on-chain activity, right? So we're taking Chainalysis's word for this. Yeah, taking their word for this. I'd like to get some anecdotal evidence from somebody actually in Iran. That I know that may not seem as maybe as useful, but for me, right, somebody that is a Bitcoiner or something like that, that's actually there, that is saying, yes, indeed, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's happening. All right, guys, the Steak and Shake Hopium. Look, we've been talking about Steak and Shake the whole entire time, right? They're probably the only, I shouldn't say the only, there's also Mercado Libre, there's also Block, which owns Square. There's a few other companies I can't remember, right? But these ones that aren't using necessarily Bitcoin as this circus prop, right? And that they're actually growing a business and hodling Bitcoin, that to me is the real win. It is the real win. So, American fast food chain has made a $10 million Bitcoin purchase for its strategic reserve to deepen the integration of the cryptocurrency into its business. At the Bitcoin 2025 conference a while ago, Chief Operating Officer Dan Edwards told attendees that Bitcoin payments were cutting processing costs by 50%. Increasing transaction speeds at the register. Wait a second. Are you telling me that a mainstream restaurant is somehow cutting fees? Because the shitcoiners will have you believe that Bitcoin's too expensive to use. That was, Ethereum and XRP and all this other garbage that no one's actually using. They were telling us that for years. And yet Steak and Shake is just doing this? How is that even possible? And on top of that, increasing the speeds at the register. But wait a second. I thought the mainstream credit card networks and all this stuff, I thought it was all super fast. Like, how come this is faster? It's pretty interesting that just by using Bitcoin, I know it's crazy, but just by using Bitcoin, you dismantle the shitcoin use cases one by one. It's wild. And that's how you know, by the way, hey, Hard Hodl, and that's how you know that there's not a single shitcoiner that has actually used Bitcoin. And that's also how you know that no shitcoiner actually uses their shitcoin. I'm sorry. Like this LARPing of just holding some shitcoin on an exchange and pretending that you're getting utility out of it. Like there's a reason why Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's a reason why Bitcoin's qualities matter. And there's a reason why every single one of these shitcoins, over 3 million of them, have come into existence and have just become zombies with marketing teams. That's all. Anyways, good job, Steak and Shake. Way to go. Way to show every other or almost every other business how to properly hodl Bitcoin into the future. And I don't care. I'm going to continue to bang the drum on that. If you don't have free cash flows, growing operating incomes, growing revenues, you will not be able to afford to hold Bitcoin in perpetuity. Okay? It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you buy. What matters is how much Bitcoin you can hold and how long you can hold it. That's all. Anyways. All right, now we're getting into the states, right? The adoption stuff. So, no, sorry, not the states. That's next. Arizona's new res to accept Bitcoin and crypto for mortgage qualifications. Borrowers can now qualify for a mortgage without liquidating their holdings. One of the first major lenders in the U.S. to integrate Bitcoin. I don't see a problem with this. You know what I mean? But the thing is, right? You gotta. We covered this before because they are not the first one, and there's obviously the devil is in the details, right? Under the new policy, borrowers can qualify without selling their assets. Yay. However, the lender will apply market-adjusted valuations to the account for crypto price volatility, which means you're most likely going to get a pretty crappy rate, right? Like you're probably, like, let's say for 100,000, let's say you want to, and it's not a mortgage, but I'm just trying to give the number, right? Let's say you want to go and get $50,000, right? You're going to have to provide 100K worth of Bitcoin. And that's right now. Obviously, in the future, that number goes down, right? But right now, that's what that is. Anyways, additionally, eligible assets may be held by U.S. regulated entities, such as compliant exchanges, retail fintech apps, or SEC or FINRA regulated brokerages. This requirement effectively excludes assets held in self-custody wallets or DeFi protocols. Womp womp. Centralized exchange, centralized platform. No surprise. No surprise. This is part of the trade-offs. I'm assuming that some point in the future, there will be some type of a self-custody solution. I'd like to assume that. I'd like to believe that. All right. Market structure bill. I got to tell you. I mean, if you thought for a second that the government wasn't being privatized for like the last, I don't know, 30 years, this should kind of be a bit of a wake-up call. All right, the White House is considering pulling its support, right? Because we've been covering this all last week, right? We saw that, you know, I said it to you guys. It must have been a really terrible bill if guys like Brian Armstrong weren't behind it, because they couldn't even show their shitcoins with it. So White House is considering pulling its support for the crypto market structure bill entirely if Coinbase doesn't come back to the table with a yield agreement that satisfies the banks and gets everyone to a deal. A source close to the Trump administration tells me the White House is said to be furious with Coinbase's unilateral action on Wednesday, which is apparently was not notified of in advance. Okay. Why would it be notified in advance? It's their decision. It's their corporate decision. Calling it a rug pull. It's kind of ironic, right? The government think Coinbase is rug pulling when, like, it's the government. It's all a rug pull. Money for nothing. NGOs taking donations. Sorry, taking bribes from different countries and stuff like that, so to push ridiculous narratives. And you're going to sit there and cry about Coinbase rug pull? How about the rest of us, right? It's like a countrywide rug pull. Anyways, against the White House and the rest of the industry, the White House does not believe that one company speaks for the entire industry. Okay, well, that's fine. This is President Trump's bill at the end of the day, not Brian Armstrong, the source said. Yeah, but you know what? There's a whole lot of other players besides the Trumpster on this one. You know? Sorry, not sorry. It's not just about him. I know the narcissists like to believe everything revolves around them, but it doesn't. Bitcoin bill to allow the state to accept Bitcoin as payment passes the second reading in Arizona. I don't know if I want to pay my taxes in Bitcoin. However, if you're selling Bitcoin to pay taxes, you're effectively doing that anyways. So, yeah. I don't know. I guess, I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? It's definitely not a bad thing. Arizona's taken a huge step towards state-level Bitcoin adoption. The state legislature advanced SB 1128 through its secondary reading on January 16th. The bill allows government agencies to accept Bitcoin for taxes, fines, and fees through third-party providers. Ugh. Giving your Bitcoin for taxes, fines, and fees. All of these things are just terrible. It's also terrible. But you got to live. You got to live. You got to pay your bills. How it works. Okay, moving on. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of government adoption, right? The government loves Bitcoin. Well, this is at the state level. So I believe at the state level, we kind of come a little bit closer to the truth, right? Where individual states are like, yeah, we need to save in Bitcoin. The federal government's a whole different story, but I believe state governments, I'd like to believe that state officials working for the state believe that, hey, Bitcoin is a solution for us. Again, that's my hopium. West Virginia introduces Bitcoin and gold treasury bill. West Virginia lawmakers have introduced Senate Bill 143, the Inflation Protection Act of 2026, which would allow the state treasury to allocate a portion of state funds to Bitcoin and gold as an inflation hedge. The bill sets a $750 billion minimum market cap requirement for Bitcoin and has been referred to the committee for review as of January 26th. What currency do you think they're going to be able to hold at $750 billion market cap? What do you think? Take a guess. I'll give you a clue. It's only Bitcoin. Only Bitcoin. That's right. The eligible assets include precious metals, stable coins with state federal regulatory approval, and qualifying large cap digital assets. So this is kind of interesting, right? So is that a stipulation to say we accept only Bitcoin based on that criteria? However, is that what that is? Is that a however in there? Interesting. So very curious to see which stable coins they accept. But make no mistake, there is no stable coin that matches that $750 billion criteria. Okay? Not a single one. The closest one is Tether. They're at 186 billion. Okay? There's only Bitcoin. So looks like they're going to be making provisions, right? They're going to be making exceptions. Once again, rules for thee and not for me. It's the same story over and over again, guys. I know it's not fun. It's not fun to know the truth. Believe me, the truth is not fun. And it makes reality a whole lot less fun, right? You remember Cypher from The Matrix? Ignorance is bliss. There's a reason for that. And truly, only once you grow in wisdom and begin to radically accept reality, do you start to understand this. And then at that point, the genie's out of the bottle, right? You let the smoke out. Can't put it back in. Interesting. Anyways. Like I told you guys, as of mid-January 2026, only Bitcoin can be held, but you'll see they're going to make exceptions for the products that they want because it's always about stacking the odds in their favor, right? There is not a single government that is willingly going to give up power and control in order to create a more structured, I guess, or maybe even a more satisfying citizenry. I don't even know how to word it properly. You just, nobody can see beyond their own power and control. I'm talking about governments. All right, so let's take a look at this, right? Mining. Texas is killing it, right? They've got the Bitcoin Museum out there that now became this massive event center. Now, well, not now, but they've already been mining. But Texas is quickly emerging as like the freedom state, which it already kind of was. Anyways, our American team was on the site this week commissioning an 800 kilowatt Texas edition hash hut for an oil and gas producer in New Mexico. The application: load up surplus power off a 480 volt natural gas turbine. Our load centers generate cash while load banks burn cash. Learn to Bitcoin. Let's watch this little video.
Send me all those pics too, will you? He's going to show you what needs to happen when we swap out the standards. Okay.
How cool that is. Look at that cabling. Oh, that's so nice and clean. If you're a geek, you appreciate the cabling. I used to do network cabling. I used to do cabling for punch panels and stuff like that, and configuring dialogic boards and for call centers and whatnot. I don't know what it is, but there's something about seeing a clean cabling job. It's just so nice. I don't know. It's just so nice. All right, guys. I was telling you about this, right? The Dread Pirate Robbie, the studio album on a Bitcoin standard. That's right, guys. And there is a actually have a like a part in it, right? There's like a whole little Club Underground section of it. Anyways, I love to promote small up and coming artists. To me, this is the signal, right? People being genuinely passionate about Bitcoin, and when they make something that they're really proud of and that I obviously enjoy, right? I want to promote it, and I am actually just going to quickly pull up just to give you guys, at least a sample of this so you can hear it. Yeah, it's I don't know, for some reason it didn't let me download the video out of this one. Hey, look, we're live.
See, we got plans to be the OGs. Bitcoin been here since $2. That's how. Yeah.
Hey, I like that stuff. Good stuff. Kind of like all different kinds of music. That's something that ends up happening when you get older, I guess. It's like when I was a kid, right? You'd be like, you'd have this one type, I'm a metalhead, I'm a punk. And then all of a sudden you get older and you're like, I just like what I like. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay. All right, guys, moving on. That's right. But yeah, guys, check it out. Obviously, the link is in the show notes. Support Bitcoin artists, right? Support Bitcoin stuff. Not stuff that gets people wrecked. Don't support stuff that gets people wrecked. Okay? Or whatever you want. Sorry. I almost tried to tell people what to do there. My bad. It's my bad. Anyways. Okay. All right. And here we go, guys. This is the list of songs right here. And you can check it out on Rumble, Wavelake, YouTube, and SoundCloud. The link is in the show notes. Now, we've got to backtrack and make a correction, undo. Last week, we had reported that the Samourai $6.3 million worth of Bitcoin from the Samourai devs was sold by the DOJ. That is incorrect at this point. President Trump, executive director, says the government has not sold any Bitcoin forfeited by Samourai, and the Bitcoin will not be sold. The Bitcoin will be added to the U.S. Strategic Reserve. So that was originally reported by Frank Corva. And we're still going to follow this story, obviously, very closely, just to, if we can get some proof that it actually hasn't been sold, because right now this is just a, kind of a pushback, but we definitely want to know, what's going on. And yeah, speaking of Samourai, guys, the deal. These two guys are still in jail. We just had our weekend, right? Some people spent the time with their families and everything like that. Not these two guys. These two guys were writing code, and now they're sitting in jail for no apparent reason, when there's a whole bunch of significantly more guilty people out there doing all kinds of terrible things. But guess what? They're part of the old boys club, right? And it's rules for thee and not for me. And instead, these guys, their lives are being wasted, right? That is the most important thing, is our time. Okay. And that is, you'll notice that is the one thing that is never mentioned. Why? Because the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, Don't want you paying attention to your time. Don't want you realizing how important your time is. And these guys' time, their time is being stolen. So sign the petition if you feel so inclined. Also donate if you feel so inclined. And I'm actually in the middle of talking with Laura and Emily, Keone's wife, and she is going to be joining me on the show. We're scheduling for February 6th. So yeah, she's going to come on the show, and we're going to talk about what's going on. I'm very curious. And of course, guys, as you know, we've been reading the letters as he's been putting them out. We read the first two letters, and whenever we see new ones, we're gonna be reading them as well. Anyways, guys, that does it for today. That's the show. Daily Live, all done. Don't forget, tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Humble Warrior, Sir Ulrich, and myself. We're going to be sitting down. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of drama. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spicy. You want to join in the conversation? We pull up the chats. We chat with people in the chat, right? This is not like, it's one of those things where it's interactive and it's meant to be fun for all of us. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of the day. I'll catch you tomorrow. Here's check the comments. Hey, Phil, no problem. Plankton, free RS guides. Really appreciate you guys liking and retweeting the streams. I really do appreciate it. Every little bit helps. I know that I am just not one of those people who asks for necessarily for support or for people to promote my content, and that is just more of a personal issue, right? Just my childhood growing up, and I'm working on it. Anyways, have a good rest of the day, guys. Take it easy.